Hello and welcome to the My Best Life Now show. My name is Dieter Staudinger.
And I'm Rebecca Revley. And today we are so excited to have Danna Yahav with us. And Danna is a holistic health and wellness coach, as well as a mother of two, which I love because I'm also a mother of two. She has spent the last 10 years of her life trying to find balance through nutrition and lifestyle factors such as spirituality, career, and following a healthy lifestyle. Now, after healing her own health issues with whole foods, she became a passionate health coach and supporter of real nutrition through an unprocessed diet.
And she's currently teaching women and families how to live a healthy lifestyle in a modern and ever-changing world, and I think all of us can relate to that. So we're really excited to have Danna on the show, and because she offers a lot of love, a lot of support, and education to everyone who is striving for a healthier and more authentic life. And you can visit her website at dannayahav.com, and we'll have these links for you at the end of the show, so don't worry, we got you covered. And Rebecca, why don't you get us started?
Yeah, well, that's enough of us. We want to hear from Danna. She's got a lot of great information. So, Danna, welcome. Thank you for being with us today.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having. You're both such an inspiration with your 40-day juice fast. So excited watching that, and I hope everybody else is too, following along.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So let's start with...
Yeah, how did you get into health and nutrition yourself? Like, you know, most of us, we don't start out in families that already live a very healthy and, you know, conscious lifestyle. What's your journey? How did you get passionate about health and nutrition and wellness?
So, you know, for many people, I find that they have to hit rock bottom before they can come back up. And that's something that happened to me as well. A few years ago, my husband was in the military, and he was deployed for 6 months. So I had moved back in with my parents with a small baby. I was getting a master's degree. I was working, and I was super stressed out. And all that stress in your body just wreaks havoc on it. I was also trying to lose the baby weight for all the wrong reasons and in all the wrong ways. So once, you know, all the stress really caught up with me, I started getting really sick, and I was sick for months, just colds or nausea, throwing up. I just didn't know what was going on with me. I had lost like 10 pounds. I was way, way, way too skinny and way too sick. So I finally went to the doctor, and I was actually diagnosed with celiac disease. So once that happened, I started looking for more information. How did this happen? Did I have this all my life? Why? What can I do? What role does nutrition play in my life? And how can I reduce my stress level? So I began reading and researching and going online and trying to find support groups. And, you know, once my husband came back, he jumped on board too. And we both began trying to find out more about nutrition and how we could improve our lives.
What are these lifestyle factors that you're talking about when you educate people on living a better life?
Yeah, so these lifestyle factors are things that sometimes we don't consider when we want to lose weight or when we want to get healthy. And that includes a career. That includes the relationships in your life, your finances, your physical activity, your joy, you know, everything around you that isn't food. Okay, so sometimes our career, a lot of people are doing jobs that they hate. Like me, I was doing soul-sucking work. I was an accountant. I was sitting at my desk for 8 to 10 hours a day, and it was literally sucking the life out of me. And you know, once I stopped doing that and started doing something that I love and brought the joy back into my life, everything sort of fell into place too. It was easier to eat healthy, and it was easier to, you know, really enjoy the small things in life and be present with my kids. and be present with my family and really live my life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think everybody can relate to that. So what I heard you say is the lifestyle factors that are really important to look at is actually the big groups of career, family, and what was the another one that you mentioned?
Physical activity, finances, even home cooking, relationships with friends, with loved ones. Everything plays a really crucial role in our lives, and sometimes we don't realize that until there's a change, until there's a shift in our perception or a shift in the actual lifestyle factor.
And specifically, how do these tend to impact our health? Because I think for some of our audience, it's the first time that they make a real tangible connection between worrying about money and maybe how healthy they feel, and maybe some bodily challenges that they might have. For example, so if you could elaborate a little bit on that, that'd be awesome.
Sure. So there's a few different connections that I've made. So one is sort of like the metaphysical connection, and that's that like attracts like. So when you start thinking, I have no money, I can't do anything with my life, I am not smart enough, that one thought attracts more similar thoughts. And all of a sudden you find yourself in a downward spiral, just thinking negatively, acting negatively. You can't, you don't find the joy in life anymore because all you're thinking about is negative and negative thoughts about yourself and about others. So that affects, your whole body. You start to tense up. Maybe your body's not digesting as well because it's, your body is tense and it doesn't have the energy to digest as well. Another connection that's really important to note is that when you're stressed, and these negative emotions bring on stress, whether you want them to or not, stress increases the cortisol in your body, and that increases your blood sugar. When your blood sugar increases, your insulin goes up. When that happens, we hold on to fat in our stomachs. And that's, a really important part that many people that are trying to lose weight don't always understand, that stress really does play a really important role in losing weight.
And it's funny that you mentioned that connection between the cortisol, because even though we're stressed and the body holds on to the fat more, you reach for fat, right? That comfort. So can you talk a little bit about that? Because that seems weird, I think, to a lot of us.
Many of us, have emotional triggers. You come home from work and you're in a relationship that you don't like, and you see that person and your body, you go through all of these emotions and you reach for things that you think are going to provide you comfort. And in reality, maybe they do for the first few minutes, but in the long run, they're not serving you in any way. So what I really work with clients to try to understand is, what is that base emotion that you're feeling, and how can we deal with it in other ways that aren't related to food? So sometimes it's meditation, or it's exercise, or it's dealing with the actual relationship head on. I think that's really important to note, that there's always an underlying reason for cravings and for emotional eating.
Another thing that I found fascinating, you mentioned primary foods and secondary foods. Where does that come from, and what actually are secondary foods?
Yeah, I'm interested in learning more about that.
Yeah.
Sure. So the Institute for Integrative Nutrition actually coined those phrases, primary and secondary foods. So primary foods is the lifestyle factors that we spoke about. It's career and spirituality, relationships, physical activity, those sorts of things. While secondary foods are the foods that we actually eat. So what I find really interesting about what the Institute for Integrative Nutrition teaches is that primary foods or lifestyle factors are actually more important than your secondary foods.
I can believe that, actually.
Yeah. So secondary foods are the foods that we eat every day. So what the Institute for Integrative Nutrition really teaches about every single dietary theory. I've learned over 100. But it's what resonates with you and what works for you. So another thing the school teaches is bio-individuality, and that's that every person is different. What works for me is not going to work for you. I'm a vegetarian. My husband loves meat. He can't picture his life without meat. And, that's okay because we're two different people, and it works for me and it's not going to work for him. And I think that's really important to understand too. With that being said, there are certain things that everybody would benefit from, and that's removing processed foods from your diet. Sugars is another. I think I have a hard time telling you that meat and dairy is necessarily bad because it really depends on the person. However, I do think that meat and dairy are both processed, so I think organic or grass-fed, high-quality sources of meat and dairy are important for some people.
Makes sense.
I think it's also important to talk about where people come from. So if, in your childhood you ate a lot of vegetables because you grew up somewhere near a farm or somewhere near, you had your own garden, then those might be comfort foods for you that you don't necessarily connect, but you find yourself reaching for. So I think it's important to know why people are craving certain things and how we can improve their dietary choices and their lifestyle. You mentioned that that you've been, now that you can't reach for a certain food when you're craving it or when you're going through something where emotionally where you would normally grab a bag of chips, what do you find yourself doing? How are you dealing with those emotions?
Well, making different choices, like going for a walk, for example, that's a big one that I've been doing, is that when I'm, having a hard time dealing with something emotionally, I'll just get up and go for a walk for about an hour. And I also find myself actually feeling some of these things a lot more than previously if I had reached for something else to distract myself. So, stay focused. We do meditation as well. We find that helpful.
I find, honestly, I've kind of committed myself, especially during the fast, that knowing that these things, not if they come up, but they will come up when they come up, that I commit myself to taking deep diaphragmatic breaths, just 5 breaths that really bring in the energy and kind of relax my central nervous system and kind of bring down that I need something, that feeling. And that has worked really well for me because it was a commitment. And something else that's worked well for me, because I don't always have the opportunity to get up and walk, but to stretch. Just tiny little movements and stretches close to my desk even, because I've been sitting a lot, whether it's with clients or creating our podcasts and our videos, and so that's been really helpful for me personally. And I think, and I really want to kind of plug us here. The biggest thing that I can tell you and our audience: be connected with people that get you. Be connected with people that are kind of there for you, to support you and uplift you. And that's why we created the Facebook page. That's why we created the whole 4-day fast for people for free, because we know how much we benefit from, not just sharing with each other, but having people in our lives that we can connect with, that uplift us and kind of keep us going. And honestly, and we're really honest, we didn't have that many people that really could relate to, you're doing juice fasting for 40 days?
You're doing what?
Why would you do that to yourself?
Exactly,
Did you find that with your clients, Danna, that the
support is a big issue?
Support is a big thing.
Yeah, definitely. And that's one of the main things that I stress when I first speak to a client before they even sign up for my program, is that I really want to support you. I'm going to give you all the support that maybe your family member or your friends can't give you, not because they don't love you, but they just don't understand.
Yeah.
And yeah, I give my clients tons of support. I think that is so, so important.
Do you have any other advice to speak to handling those emotional cravings that we were just talking about for reaching for food and to deal with things? What other types of advice do you give to people to deal with those things?
So, actually really love what you said, Rebecca, about feeling your emotions. One of my favorite spiritual teachers, Gabrielle Bernstein, she talks a lot about actually sitting with your feelings and your emotions for 90 seconds, 60 seconds, and really, really feeling them, letting them pass through you, crying if you need to, just really being present with those feelings, and then afterwards you feel relieved. You've felt it all, and you're ready to move on. Mm-hmm. So that's one thing that I recommend. Another one that some of my clients have had really good results with is writing. So I recommend writing in a journal in the mornings, right before you wake up, or even in the evening after you've had a full day and you just have so much on your mind that you can't think straight, you can't fall asleep. Just take out a journal, write everything that is on your mind, and then add a few sentences at the end about what you're grateful for, why you're happy to be alive. Maybe the sun was shining that day. Maybe you are grateful for your toned arms. Whatever it is, there's always something to be grateful for, and I think it's really important to connect with that. And really be present with those things as well. Like, if you enjoy the sunshine, then really enjoy the sunshine without your phone, without your computer, without music. Just enjoy it. Just be present. I think we don't take enough time to just be present.
A lot of our audience are parents, and so can you talk a little bit? I know you're the mother of two as well. Can you talk a little bit about how, when somebody kind of is at that stage of, I gotta do something here, but it's one thing to do it for ourselves, but then you have a family, you may have, 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 kids, and you have a husband. So what advice do you have for families on maybe as a family start a healthier lifestyle?
Sure. So I think there's a few things that you can do. So when I spoke earlier about removing processed foods from your diet and sugars, I think that's really important, but it's also really scary for a lot of people that have been eating, we call it the SAD diet, the standard American diet, have been eating, chips and burgers and sodas their whole lives. It's really scary to tell them, take all that out and put in the salads. So I think what I like to focus on is crowding out those things. So introducing leafy greens, introducing smoothies. Maybe have a green smoothie in the morning instead of your bagel. If you're still hungry after your smoothie, fine, have your bagel then. But first try the smoothie. Or the juice, even better. Introducing good grains instead of, refined carbohydrates. Instead of white flours and white pasta, introducing whole grains such as brown rice and quinoa and millet. And those grains tend to satisfy us. They keep us full longer. Our blood sugar doesn't spike, and therefore they don't necessarily increase the fat around our stomach. Portion size is another thing that I often talk about with clients. We're used to supersizing, and we're used to having 3, 4 servings of mashed potatoes, and it's really about being present with your food and eating mindfully and realizing I'm probably not hungry anymore, but I'm trying to mask a feeling or an emotion and connecting with that. Another really easy tip, super easy, is water. Drink more water. A lot of us are, walking around dehydrated and don't even realize it. For me,
how much water would you recommend that an adult would take in during a day, and what's your recommendation?
so I think this is a hard question, and I've seen a lot of different experts talk about, 8 cups a day, 12 cups a day. I think it really depends on the person. For me, 8 cups a day is not enough. I start to get headaches in my eyebrows. I start to get really dark circles under my eyes. I drink, probably 16 cups a day. But I had a client who couldn't drink water. It made him nauseous. So he was only having a few cups a day, and that was enough for him. So I think it's really different. Again, bio-individuality. Everybody's different. I do recommend for most of my clients that they drink 2 cups of water before every meal to fill them up, to make sure they're hydrated, and make sure that they're really hungry. And having water before you eat is also really good for the bile in your stomach. It helps with digestion, and it helps with heartburn as well.
If somebody is listening to us and they're saying, wow, this is all great information, what are your top 3 recommendations that anybody could implement right now, or at least after our show is over, so that they, to get started on creating their best life? What are your top 3 recommendations?
Okay, so number 1 I would probably say is awareness. Create awareness in your life. Take note of where you're not happy. Our life is really short, and I don't want to live my life being sort of happy, waiting for the next thing. Like, I'll be happy when I have $1 million in the bank, or I'll be happy when I can finally quit my job. What can you do right now that will help you be happy now? We don't have enough time to wait. So I think the first step is really to become aware of these things and how can you change it. If you want to build a business, okay, that's great. But what are steps that you can take every single day, consistent actions that are going to help you reach your goal? Okay, so that's probably my number 1 tip, just to increase happiness and become aware of why you're not happy. Number 2 would be your secondary foods. So introducing more greens into your diet, reducing sugar in the form of refined sugars or refined carbohydrates, increasing, whole grains, increasing fruits and things of that sort. And really, when you do all those things, it clears your head and it leads the way to other wonderful things falling into place. So that's number 2. Number 3 is probably just find something that makes you happy and do it every day. So if that's taking a long walk, or playing with your children, or reading a book, just doing something for yourself every single day that really makes you happy, and it makes you grateful, and it makes you cherish your life, because we only live once, as far as I know.
What are the top, 1 or 2 obstacles that people bring to you when they come to you as to why they can't do this, and how do you address those with them to help them to move through those and get beyond them?
Yeah, that's so important, because we've heard that and we've come across that, oh my God, this is so great what you guys are doing, but I could never do that, or this would never work in my life or in my world. So we'd love to hear from a professional. How do you address that?
Yeah, so probably the top concern that I get why people can't live healthy is that they don't have the time. I don't have the time to exercise. I don't have the time to prepare my meals. And what I say to that is, how are you spending your time? I have people, write down exactly how they spend all of their time. And what I find out usually is that they're spending half their day on Facebook, or they're spending half their day checking their emails. And it's just not, you know what I'm talking about, Rebecca. It's not efficient. So it's more of, switching your priorities. Maybe take 5 minutes off Facebook, just for a little while until you get into the habit of, making your food list every Sunday and going shopping and preparing for the week so you don't have to do it when you get home from work or in the morning. So making time for what's really important is really important. You have more time than you think. You just have to prioritize your life differently.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one objection. The other one that I get is, I don't know what to eat. You see all these commercials for low fat. You see the Atkins diet that's telling you don't have carbs. And then you hear experts tell you carbs are important. Good fats are important. Well, what are good fats? What are good carbs? What are good meal combinations? What's easy that I can do? And what can I feed my family too? So with that, I just really help people prepare their own meal plans and foods that they like, what's going to work for you, what's going to be quick for you to make, and something that you're going to stick to. And actually, I'm going to create for your listeners a 3-day meal plan that they can download on your website and really help them, show them that it is possible to eat healthy. It doesn't have to take an hour to prepare a meal. It's super easy. The whole family can eat. Your kids should really be eating what you're eating. Just because they're kids doesn't mean they have to have mac and cheese every night for dinner. And that's really what we believe in here. If we're eating a kale saute, so are my kids, and they like it. So I'm gonna give that to your listeners so that they can start noticing how their body is changing and continue with it to build good habits.
That's so generous.
So
Thank
great,
you.
Danna. Thank you so much.
And I'm sure that we'll follow it and we'll
Sure.
give you feedback on how we found it. Honestly, because these are the kind of things that I think if we have them in our lives, right? They help us be empowered to make the choices and the changes that we spoke about in this interview. So thank you for that. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
If people want to learn more about you, Danna, how can they get in touch with you? What is it that you offer for your clients? And if you could talk a little bit more about that, I'm sure people would appreciate learning about that as well.
Sure. So you can find me at dannayahav.com. You can also find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, all those things. But a program that I have right now is called the 7-Day Real Food Refresh. And it's a 7-day program that guides you through different meals and teaches you really how to eat healthy and how to press the reset button in your life easily, quickly, and nutritiously. These are meals that I've created that my whole family eats. So it's easy. Your whole family can do it. And I give you 7 days of meals. I give you all the recipes. I give you a shopping list. And I also give you access to a membership site where you can view 7 short workout videos, 7 short guided meditations, and more information. And you also have access to a forum where you can connect with other people. You can ask me questions. I'm always on there. And tons of other bonuses. So you can find more information about that at my website, or if you go to realfoodrefresh.com. And other than that, I just have my coaching program, which is a 6-month program where I meet with clients virtually and in person. And I've had some really great results. If you want to learn more about that, you can find that on my website as well.
That's so great. Thank you. And we'll be making sure that all those links that you mentioned, that we put them in the description as well, so anybody that's interested can learn more about it.
If any of your listeners want to sign up for my 7-day program, I will give them free coaching calls as well.
Oh, that's fabulous.
That's a great
I just want to help people get healthy.
That's excellent.
And that's why we love you, and that's why we really wanted to connect with you, because just listening to you, how your passion and your love for serving other people that want to become healthier, more energy, just create a life that they're happy and proud of living.
Yeah.
We love that. That's what we're about.
That's what you're doing too. That's why I love you guys. You're awesome. 40-day juice cleanse. Oh my God, that's incredible. It really is.
Thank you.
You should be super proud.
Thank you. Is there anything that you would like to share that we didn't ask you that you think might be really important? If
You know, I just want to let people know that it is easy to live a healthy life, and you don't have to wait until you're sick and tired of being sick and tired. You can do it now. There's, great resources out there like you guys, health coaches, books, Facebook. We have access to this huge internet, and you really can find anything on there. You just have to have the will and the desire to get healthy, and then just go for it, and you can do it. And people like me and Rebecca and Dieter, we're all here to support you, and it's just important that we get everyone, to be healthy and live long, happy lives.
So true, so true. Thank you. Everybody, Danna Yahav, thank you for being on our show today. And for all of you listeners out there, please ask your questions, leave us comments. It's really important. That's how we can serve you, answering your questions. If there's any questions that you have for Danna, post them to us. We'll forward them to Danna, and we'll see you in our next show. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much.
It's a real pleasure. Thank you.